Hey, what's up? It's Matt in Japan. Welcome back to my channel, and today we're taking a look at Missing Link Sunstreaker. So let's take a quick look at the package details. On the front of the flap here, we have Transformer written in Japanese, C-05, Cybertron, or as we know it, an Autobot, Cybertron Warrior Sunstreaker. Now on the top here, you do have sort of the old school instructions from Supercar, transform to Sunstreaker. And a very funny thing in Japanese right here, it says, beautiful body and proud narcissist. I guess that's Sunstreaker. Anyways, Taka Tomy logo, some beautiful artwork on the side. As always, all these Missing Link boxes just have great artwork. Not sure what the T-Spark logo down here is, but a beautiful illustration there. You see him packaged in his car mode, and you do have a little figure inclusion, which is very, very cool. Missing Link in English there. That's about it for the front and top. On the side, you do see a product image in both modes. Much the same. On the side, you have vehicle mode and robot mode. On the bottom, you have your product information. There's a QR code there if you'd like to scan that. And then on the back, we do see, not product shots, but we do see the old school Transformers artwork there, and we have the tech specs for Sunstreaker. But yeah, that's about it for the Missing Link Sunstreaker. Let's see what this newest addition to the Missing Link family is all about. Okay, before we get into Sunstreaker's details, let's take a quick look at what's inside the box. First up, you do have your red decoder sheet here, so you can take this and go on the back, and even though it's all in Japanese, it's basically the same thing. You know, strength, speed, endurance, things like that. So that is the decoder sheet. Next thing you do get is a very lovely, very nice sticker sheet here. And I just love that you get a Car Robo sticker included. I'm not sure if I'm gonna slap these on or just leave them, but a very nice sticker sheet there as well. Then you do have the little card here that used to come with the old Japanese Transformers with a hole in it. Very nice artwork like we saw on the box, Sunstreaker. And then again, it does have a sort of a technical illustration on the back, and it does have a little blurb about Sunstreaker's details and what he comes with, things like that. Then you do have the instruction manual, which is very nice, done in a sort of just pink and gray, very easy to tell. Shows you how to put the pilot, or the driver rather, in the driver's seat. And then you do have the Volume 2 Missing Link catalog here. And it does open up to show some artwork. You know, it does show some details on Sunstreaker, the articulation, the fists, things like that, and the driver, and just some details on Sunstreaker there. And then you do have the C-06 cordon, which I decided not to get. It's, you know, it's basically the white Sunstreaker. He does look very cool though, but it shows cordons, details as well. And then on the back here, you do get some nice artwork there. Volume 2. Yeah, I'm just wondering what they're going to do next. We got the RC coming up in September. But then we see the CO1 Missing Link Convoy and CO2 Convoy that came with the trailer. CO3 Bumblebee, CO4 Cliff Jumper, and a little blurb about them all there. So that's about it for all the sort of paperwork and things of that nature. Let's get into the accessories. Okay, as far as accessories with this Missing Link Sunstreaker set, you do get the 3 missiles on the sprue. You do get the 2 fists. You do get the 2 sort of blasters, I guess you can put on the back in vehicle mode. And you do get his flare gun there. Really nice detail. You can already see my grubby paw prints all over it. But it's just, yeah, nice and minty there. But very, very cool detail. And then last but not least, this little guy, which is basically a Diaclone pilot. You can see the chrome head, a little bit of chrome detail on his pocket there, some beige paint on the upper half and blue on the bottom. And he does have pins there so he can sit in the driver's seat, and we will throw him in the cockpit. Let's get into Sunstreaker's vehicle mode details. Here is the star of the show, Missing Link Sunstreaker. Let's take a look at his details. This guy looks amazing. You have the CR there. You have the rub symbol there. You get some nice silver for the rims. He does have the rubber tires there. Very cool. On the front, you do see some sticker detail, the Autobot logo there. Some beautiful paint, just really nicely done. You see a little bit of paint for the headlights there. On the side, pretty much the same. You do see the red in the back. That is now paint and not a sticker. And then you do see the engine block up top with just some beautiful molded detail, some yellow and red and blue highlights there. The spoiler is absolutely perfect. And then you do see the back there. And then on the bottom, he looks pretty much as you remember, made in China, Tomy. But yeah, this is very, very nice. It's so nice to have like a minty fresh Sunstreaker. Now, bringing in my G1 Sunstreaker here for a comparison, you can see just how old and dirty this guy is. But yeah, I mean, they look pretty nice side by side. So obviously this is the G1 here and this is the new missing link, but just doing a quick comparison of the two there. And you will see some differences, like for example, on the bottom. I mean, they did replicate that bottom part pretty nicely. And then mine does have the Takara circle stamp there. And then obviously the newer one doesn't have the screws at the bottom there. The older one doesn't have the screws. The new one actually does. I'm sure that's because of the articulation and things like that. But that is about it for Sunstreaker's vehicle mode. Let's get into some other missing link vehicle mode comparisons. Here's missing link Bumblebee and Cliffjumper compared with Sunstreaker. As you can see, both Bumblebee and Cliffjumper, bumper to bumper here, they are about the same length as Sunstreaker is. And for a bigger missing link comparison, here he is with Convoy or Optimus Prime. And here's a comparison of all four, the missing link figures I have in my collection. So you have Bumblebee, Sunstreaker, Optimus, and Cliffjumper. You have the yellow team and the red team basically, but yeah, they look great. And some additional vehicle mode details here. We have his sort of old school blast effects here, and there is a port on the back on either side. They plug in like that on that side, and then the other one plugs in the same in that little port there. So yeah, it's some little old school blast effects there, make him look like he's going fast. So very cool. And again, this guy does roll. He just rolls really nicely. I mean, it's fresh out of the box, so he should, right? Anyways, let's get into the driver here. I'm gonna take the top part and just open that up there. And then what you're gonna do is sort of, it's a little bit tricky. You're gonna put his legs down into that little spot there. And then you wanna just kind of feed his legs through here. This is very hard with my fat fingers. But then he will, basically his legs will go down on the bottom like that. And then he can sit in the cockpit. Then you're able to close the hood like that. And you do see the driver inside the vehicle, inside Sunstreaker. Off we go to transformation. Okay, here we go. Let's get into Missing Link Sunstreaker's transformation. First thing you want to do is pop the roof. This can be a little tight, but if you just get your fingernail under there, you can easily lift that up. And you can just kind of lift that up to get out of the way. Next thing you want to do is make sure to untab these parts first before you pull the leg out. I've seen some mistransformations online and people just kind of yanking at the legs. And it makes me cringe because this is even though it's a new figure, it's still very, very fragile. So basically what you want to do is take right where that CR is, there's a clip right there. If you can see it right there, you want to unclip that first before you take the legs and pull them out. You know, the old school G1 Sunstreaker, you could just pull them out, but you actually want to unclip those so they're free. Now that you can see they're a little bit loose. And then at this point, you can take the legs and then extend them like so. And then at this point, you're gonna break the front half that just taps together like that. Slide that over, just like the OG Sunstreaker. And then you'll hear some really nice ratcheted sort of toes there, so really nice. So again, take this part, slide it over just like the old G1 toy, and then ratchet those feet up like that. Now on the back here, you do have some sort of strange sort of heel spurs here. Basically this piece was one, just like on the old Sunstreaker there, it was just one molded piece. They have now split it into two, and it was, you know, tabbed in like that. And then basically you just want to kind of put them up. And this will act as your heel spurs. Without these, this guy would probably not stand up. So anyways, that is, and you can kind of just adjust, you know, at this point, kind of just adjust the feet to make him stand. All right, let's work on the upper torso. So turning Sunstreaker to the back, he does still have this piece here. So you're gonna just fold that down and then just to give you some room to work with. Now, first of all, I'd like to take out the arms here. And just like old school Sunstreaker, you're gonna take his arms out and just kind of take those out, get those out of the way for now. Get these arms out of the way just to have some room to work with. We can situate those arms later. You will see that extra joint right there, so very, very nice. And then this part here is a little bit tricky. This whole basically assembly is going to you're going to move this up. So you're gonna take this part and sort of, there's a hinge right there, if you can see it right there. You're gonna hinge everything up like that. So next you have a sort of double hinge right here. You have this little part sticking out that's eventually gonna rest right inside there. So basically you wanna double hinge that out, and then right, it's a little bit tricky, right there, that's gonna fold down, and that will allow that little pin right there to rest right inside there. And then at that point you can just leave it like this. And then now you can take the cockpit part and then fold that down in that sort of empty cavity right there. And then folding down the windshield here, again, just getting the arms out of the way here. Getting those, just pull them back a little bit. And you will see two slots right here and right here. And there are tabs right underneath the windshield right there and right there. And you're gonna fold this down and make sure those tab into place. And it's a very nice secure connection. Now let's just situate the arms. So pull the arms forward, pull them down, make sure the elbow is facing the front. Same thing on this side. Fold this over, fold the arms down, make sure the elbow is facing the front like that. And then at this point, you can just take the head and lift up the head to expose Sunstreaker's awesome looking head. And there we have Sunstreaker in his robot mode. And then at this point, you can add the accessories. You can take his fists, plug in like so. Take his other fist, plug that in like so, and situate the fists. And then last but not least, use his little shoulder pieces here and then put them on his shoulders. Put the other one on like that. Let's take a close look at Sunstreaker's robot mode details. First of all, let's take a look at that noggin. You do see a classic Sunstreaker head sculpt there. You got the black helmet and the yellow eyes and the yellow side pieces there. Very nice. You do see the chrome sticking out behind his head there. You do see the nice Autobot logo there. And these are all just done in nice paint here. No longer do we have some stickers there like we did with the original figure. And everything is pretty much the same. You get that same sort of black molded in detail on his legs there. You get the front of the car for the feet. You do have the fist there. Now I will say these, it does have the buttons here, but they do not shoot. The fists do not shoot. So that is how he looks from the front. Then turning him on the back, you see multiple pins and screws and things that we didn't see on the G1 figure. But that is basically how he looks on the back. Now, speaking of that G1 figure, let's bring in my old G1 on the left here and do some comparisons. Basically, they did a bang up job, I think. They did a really good job. My G1 figure is missing some stickers and things like that, but for the most part, just, you know, if you just kind of glance at these two, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. I will say the red on the, you know, the sticker is a little bit sort of shiny. They did use a little bit sort of dull paint on the missing Link figure. So it's very, very well done. And you really can't tell them apart. So anyways, that is a comparison in robot mode. And for a bigger size comparison, here we have Convoy on the left, or Optimus Prime, and Sunstreaker on the right. So just to give you an idea how these two scale together. By now you may be wondering, well, he comes with his flare gun and he does come with some missile, you know, a few missiles. How do these interact with him? He doesn't have any holes in his hands. You know, how the heck does he hold it? Well, a very, very cool feature on this Missing Link edition is you can take the fists out of both sides like so. And there is a secret on the forearms here. If you take a look here, you can untab the underside of the arm, take that out, and then close up that part of the arm. And voila, you have a fully formed hand here. There is a pin there, so I know it opens. There we go. There's a pin there. So he is able to hold his gun in this hand, so he can wield his weapon. And the same thing on this side. If you want him to have sort of regular robot hands, you do the same thing. Flip that back, and now he has an actual open fist here for the weapon. You can put the gun. Now the missiles don't. He doesn't hold his missile like that. He does hold it without this. So basically, what you want to do is take this, fold that back in, making sure it's straight so it tucks in away. And then instead of putting his fist in, you can put the missile in this space right here, like that. So anyways, that is Sunstreaker with his weapons there. So very, very cool. I really love the inclusion of those sort of hidden fists on the forearms. Now the moment you've all been waiting for. I've had a lot of questions about how this guy articulates, you know, what differs in this missing link figure as opposed to the G1 figure. Basically, first thing is at the head. The head, does go up and down because of transformation, and it can rotate from side to side about that far and about that far. The arms, shoulders rather, can go all the way around, and there is an extra joint right here, so you do get some shoulder articulation, so his arms can go out like that. He does have an upper bicep swivel like that. He does have a 90-degree at the elbow. His wrist can rotate like that. So that's about it for the arms, just getting his arms out of the way. There is no waist swivel on this guy. Just taking this down, I'm not sure how they would have incorporated a waist swivel on this guy, but unfortunately, there is no waist swivel, so just putting that back. But his legs are very articulated. He does have an upper thigh swivel there. His legs can stretch out that far, so he can basically do the full splits and then some. His legs can kick back that far, and then it can kick forward about that far, about 90 degrees. And then he does have a 90-degree at the knee, actually a little bit over 90-degree at the knee. And then he does have toe articulation. He's got some nice ratcheted joints there. And then he does have a little bit of ankle rocker joint, not too much, about that much. So yeah, this guy is pretty articulated. You can get him into some nice poses. He still has the gorilla arms. C-05 Missing Link Sunstreaker is a welcome addition to the Missing Link family here. This guy is absolutely amazing. I have a soft spot for Sunstreaker as he was one of my first G1 Transformers. So this guy is a nice sort of update with extra articulation, extra features, things like that. I just think it's slamming. They did a really good job. I love this guy. I think he's one of my favorites so far. I can't wait for others in the series to come out. But yeah, C-05 Sunstreaker Missing Link Edition is awesome. This has been Matt in Japan. Thanks for watching, guys. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Hit that notification bell for more great content. Follow me on Instagram and TikTok. And as always, till all are one.